Let's open up the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Away Games, the Chicago Cubs podcast. I'm Kevin McCaffrey, and that's Adam Mamawala.
How's it going, everybody? You having a good day out there? We're recording this literally at the moment that the window closed. Am I right? It's 5 o'clock Eastern.
5 o'clock, and SportsCenter is coming on right now. We're going to take you live to this. So if you're not watching this live, the podcast isn't going to come out live, but we're going to let you listen in as we listen in to the coverage here on Rob Manfred, absolute failure of a man, businessman, and commissioner, is going to speak about choosing the league-wide ownership's choice to now cancel opening day after a lockout that began December 2nd, which, as you know, was then followed by a Congress-like level of vacation. So let's check in on SportsCenter right now.
According to Jeff Passan, in the proposal, there would be no change to the competitive balance tax, a $5 million increase on pre-arbitration bonus pool, and an increase in the minimum salaries from $675,000 to $700,000, with an increase of $10,000 per year. Once again, our live coverage there's inside in Jupiter, Florida. We will have the Commissioner, Rob Manfred, when he steps to the podium.
Shocking,
live
he's
with
late.
His thoughts on this developing situation.
He was working on his golf
Let's bring
swing.
it in our baseball insider, Jeff Passan. Jeff,
Hey, Jeff Passan, this guy's been
what
the
were the
best guy to
primary
listen to
reasons
about
here
this.
the
Let's
players
listen to
turned the
Jeff talk
league's
for a minute.
best and final offer down this afternoon?
It's very simple, Kevin. It barely moved from
Jeff.
where it was before. Earlier in the day, the Major League Baseball Players Association had sent a counteroffer over to Major League Baseball. And in that counteroffer, they asked for a competitive balance tax threshold that started at $238 million, minimum starting at $725 million, and a bonus pool starting at $85 million a year. You can see the difference entire time, but after yesterday, there was hope that they would be able to bridge the gap this morning. It became apparent that it was not going to be bridged. And Kevin, we're left with one of the darkest days in baseball history, one where opening day is likely to be canceled and nobody knows when baseball is going to be back.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to us for a minute there. All you really need to know about how seriously the owners treated this is they proposed no change upward in competitive balance tax threshold, which, as you know, probably is what functions as the salary cap here in baseball. And we see the Braves just released, they were forced to release their profits. Baseball grows in profits every year that there's not the beginning of a pandemic. It grew still during a pandemic last year. And the owners say, no, we're literally not agreeing to move up the top border of the CBT at all, which is, I mean, the owners have said literally every pitch is a quote non-starter, which is not how a negotiation works, but they literally went nowhere. They went nowhere with the top of that. And yeah.
So, well, I don't know if you saw the poll that I posted from our Twitter, at Away Games Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I asked, we're recording a pod in an hour. Should we be A, angry at owners, B, really angry at owners, C, extremely angry at owners? And as of this recording, 90% of the 48 votes say extremely angry at owners. There's a small 2% that feels like we should only be angry at them. Where have you landed? Because I know where I am right now, and I want to flip a table.
I think despite what their bank accounts say, they're fucking worthless. I mean, I think Jeff Passan said, I think it was he who tweeted that if you took away all the Major League Baseball players currently in the majors, replace them with the next best wave of players in the minors after that, you would see a massive difference in product. If you replaced the 30 owners with any other 30 billionaires, you would feel no difference. And I think that's exactly true. These are the most replaceable, soulless husks you could possibly think of, and it drives me. Obviously, we're a pro player podcast. I can't imagine how you would be a pro owner anything. But I see sometimes when people are mad at the players too, and sort of dismissive of the conflict. Oh, it's billionaires versus millionaires. That's true to a point. A lot of Major League Baseball players are not millionaires, for what it's worth. They make a lot of good money. But do you guys know the difference between $1 billion is 1,000 times more than $1 million. And $1 million is 1,000 times more than $1,000. So it's the same difference proportionally. Think of yourself as a player, someone with $1,000 having an argument with a literal millionaire. That's the difference here. I know. I'm having $1 million. We can't dream of it, obviously. So almost no one listening to this, I assume, can dream of that. But this is not, our human brains are actually not able to comprehend the difference in money here, but there is no equivalency between billionaires and millionaires. There is.
I feel like it's a real failing of the English language to make the words so similar just with a different first letter.
It's literally, that has to be a big part of the issue. It's like $1 billion.
Like it should be like millionaire and bazillionaire.
Yeah,
like
the alien shouldn't even
that
be
gets
in
it
there.
across more.
It's
right.
just got to be.
Although I hate to fact check you, but I do know that you have a net worth of $3 million. Can you confirm?
That's true.
Rumors?
If you, thank you, and you can follow me at Kevin McCaff if you want to see proof of that. I
looked up mine. The same website lists me at like $1 or $2 million.
Oh, nice. Yeah, if you just Google.
So even in the metaverse, you're more successful than me, but that's okay.
If you Google our names with net worth, yeah, supposedly I'm I have $3 million. If we could show you the video of my bedroom, I think you would.
I'm 1.5 million. This is dog shit. You're twice as successful as I am.
Well, and I would be fine if the fans sided with you in a dispute, because double is a lot, but it's not 1,000 times as much, which is what a billionaire is to a millionaire, and what a millionaire is to someone with $1,000. So that's just one point I wanted to make. There's no reasonable take where you could be on the owner's side. None that I respect. So they don't care about baseball. They know they can own the teams as long as they fucking want, because they are profitable. And even if they don't want to own them anymore, they can sell them for a massive exponential profit. And players have only so much time where they can perform at the height of an athletic profession. So I don't know. The answer is very, very, very angry at owners, I guess.
And it makes it even worse knowing that we are not that far removed from a 60-game season where we almost didn't have any baseball, had weird playoffs, and now in a completely preventable way, we're going to miss baseball.
Oh yeah. Hey,
like, this should be we've
got Manfred. Let me drop him.
All right, great.
To avoid an outcome that's bad for our fans, bad for our players, and bad for our clubs. I want to assure our fans that our failure to reach an agreement was not due to a lack of effort by either party. The players came here for 9 days. They worked hard. They tried to make a deal, and I appreciate their effort. Our committee of club representatives committed to the process. They offered compromise after compromise.
They absolutely fucking
and hung in past the deadline to make sure that we exhausted every possibility of reaching an agreement before the cancellation of games. So far, the parties have failed to achieve their mutual goal of reaching an agreement. The unfortunate thing, maybe the most unfortunate thing, is that agreement, the one we've offered to our players, offered huge benefits for our fans and for our players.
Oh, you fucking snake.
We have listened to the Players Association throughout the process. A primary goal of the Players Association has been to increase pay for younger players. I said in Orlando, and I'll say it again, we agree and share that goal. We offered to raise the minimum salary to $700,000, an increase of $130,000 from last year. We offered to create an annual bonus pool of $30 million for our very best young players. In total, we're offering nearly a 33% raise to almost 2/3 of Major League players, and we're adding more than $100 million annually in additional compensation for this younger player group. The proposal also addressed player and fan concerns about issues like service time and competition. Baseball would, for the first time, have a draft lottery, the most aggressive lottery in professional sports. Also, for the first time ever, we agreed to an incentive system to encourage clubs to promote top prospects on opening day. We also proposed that the first and second place finishers in Rookie of the Year voting in each league would receive a full year of service no matter how long they were in the major leagues.
Oh, for 4 players a year.
The MLBPA asked us to make free agency more robust.
Aren't in baseball
for the first time ever, we agreed to eliminate draft pick compensation, a change that the MLBPA has sought for decades. On the competitive balance tax, we offered a significantly larger first-year increase than in the last 2 agreements, bearing in mind that the competitive balance tax is the only mechanism in our agreement that protects some semblance of a level playing field among the clubs.
Is he talking
done.
Outside?
Yeah, it
sounds windy.
Like it. Yeah, he's up at a podium. I think we've heard enough from him. The thing that infuriated me the most there, I mean, all of it, but is him saying the thing that hurts me is that the players wouldn't agree to this deal that would offer our fans so much. And then he said absolutely nothing that was going towards the fans. And you know who's in charge of the ticket prices? It's the owners. And the ticket prices are not related to what the players are making. They're related to what the market can bear. So the owners could absolutely do that for the fans, and they choose not to. And they can
we just say right now that this is a pro Anthony Rizzo pod. I think we've been clear about that.
Yeah.
Can no player for the rest of baseball history ever give a meaningful baseball to a fucking owner?
Great call. It was gross at the time, and I mean, if you were ever, give
it to Epstein if you want.
Yeah, Theo.
Not Jeffrey.
Yes. Give it to my favorite Epstein. Yeah, it's owners aren't your friends, and maybe players aren't your friends either, but you enjoy what the player does. You don't enjoy what ownership does. Like, I mean, yeah, we should never cheer Tom Ricketts again, and not that he ever should have been really cheered in the first place, but yeah, it's gross, and that's especially gross in hindsight because the owners they don't care about baseball. They don't. It's just a thing.
It's part of their portfolios. We've talked about this. That's right. What it is.
Yeah, and when they say, "Oh, the teams they don't make that much money," really, then why are the business people at this level getting involved with them? Is it because, I mean, if let's say they don't make money, they do, but if they didn't, you're only doing it because you have so much money that you can buy a team for fun and not make money off it. So I don't know. I mean, I assume we're preaching to the choir mostly here, unless there's some really fully cucked like people who are just all about owners. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else there is to really say about this. I don't really.
There's not a lot to say, and I think beyond being extra frustrated because of the fact that we almost didn't have a 2020 season. Mm-hmm. I saw a tweet. There's 3 months ago today that the Cubs signed Marcus Stroman.
Yeah.
And think of how excited we were at that time. And of course the lockout was looming and we all understood that. And also that was such bullshit when Manfred and the ownership were like, we've given out more money in the past 2 weeks than we had ever. Yeah, because there was a lockout coming, not because you're so generous. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
But
well, they're banking on their audience being stupid, and enough of them are. A third of them are for sure. So
apparently, but like this is a time of year. We've been baseball fans for a long time, and we also have lived mostly in like cold weather climates. And this is a time of year where like one of the few things that I'm happiest about on March 1st is knowing that baseball is only a month away, and that I get to start doing my fantasy drafts and I get to start watching spring training. And I don't think that, first of all, I don't think we're going to miss a full season. As stupid as the owners are, I don't think it's going to happen. But how can you not just have an incredibly bad taste in your mouth whenever baseball starts? Like, thank God for the Bulls right now, frankly. But like, I'm not, even if a week from now there's a deal and they say, okay, we're going to miss a week of games and start on April 8th or whatever, it's hard for me to get in the mindset of being like super gung-ho about this happening and not be thinking about what has transpired over the past 3 months.
No, and we're coming off obviously what 2020 was. And if there was ever a time for this kind of shit to be put in perspective and to just get to playing all the games, like that would have done it. But like I don't know, I tend to think so much of our society is beyond fixing. I'm relatively hopeless about a lot of it, and I feel like with team owners, I'm absolutely that way, because if that wasn't enough to learn the lesson, nothing will be. I mean, and if 94 wasn't enough to learn the lesson, 2020 wasn't enough to learn the lesson, just nothing's gonna be. And like there will be games, because at some point the owners know at what point they would actually start not necessarily losing money but losing profits. You know, they know when it would start to get, for them, what they would consider to be tight or whatever. So there's a date when that is. And honestly, at this point, I don't want the players to agree to a deal that fucks them and that fucks baseball. Obviously, ownership pushing playoff teams they want to push playoff teams to 14 total playoff teams, and the players have stuck to 12, which is still an expansion. The owners don't care about the regular season. They just, capitalism only goes one direction, and that's all they care about, is just push it in for the future, push it games to the ceiling. It doesn't matter. No game matters except for the money it brings into them. So I don't want the players to agree to a deal like that. And I would rather the players push it past the date when the owners would start, quote unquote, losing money. Fuck them. Fuck them. I want baseball, but I don't want the Players Association to buckle.
But I guess even if I'm looking at this from the most cynical viewpoint, which is that the owners couldn't care less about the teams that they own, and I don't even know if that's cynical other than just realistic.
Yeah.
At what point does it become short-sighted, if you're an owner, to not understand that the damage that you're doing to the image of the sport itself is going to cost you more money in the long run than anything you might lose right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but I think just wealth at that level never loses over the arcing course of time. So they know they can just fuck it. Whoever have people hate baseball, doesn't matter. They'll sit on these teams. They'll get their money back. You know, they're not worried about being the ones that are hurt. I mean, I think obviously so much of the Manfred era specifically has shown how tone deaf baseball is to like growing the game or to anything like that. I mean, I get where I'm hoping we just fucking maintain. I feel like Jim Mora with the playoffs. I'm trying to win a game. It's like it doesn't feel like baseball has any interest in growing, not in a serious sense, especially when compared to the other sports. Even they seem to be the dumbest out of the major sports, or the most just like cravenly greedy, So
I mean, baseball is already firmly the third most popular sport, and at this point, I feel like even that is tenuous.
Yeah, and it sucks because the players are always great. We're in a particularly good age of, I think, young and exciting and upcoming, players. And I saw people tweeting about like we're now losing a third season of Mike Trout's prime, who has an argument to have had the potential to be the best baseball player ever.
DeGrom too.
Yeah, DeGrom too. Yeah, and early seasons of Fernando Tatis and a recovering Ronald Acuna. I mean, there's so much good in the game, and absolutely none of it's in an ownership box. And if, like we said, Jeff Passan has been a really good follow. Dan Szymborski has been a good follow on this kind of thing. If you guys want to, follow people sort of analyzing it in a way that makes this make sense.
Here's what I'm trying to understand, right? So theoretically the deadline, which of course was not met today, was like, hey, if we get it done, then we can still have opening day.
Yeah.
But that didn't really make sense to me, because today is March 1st. And even in a world where everyone had already signed with the team, it seems rushed.
Right.
So how would that work? Like let's say they do get a deal done within the next week or something, and maybe that's wishful thinking. Needless to say, there's going to be a flurry of free agent activity. There's how can you start the season without guys ramping up adequately and getting hurt or like starting pitchers in, I don't know, the minors or something? Like, how's this going to work?
Well, it's a great question, and if you cared about player health or like or
Kevin, don't be so naive.
Yeah, player health or like the quality of the games you're putting on, then yeah, these would be concerns you'd have, but they don't. They'll they just want to rush it to the money making time, because you probably should have a week or at least a week or two probably to get everybody negotiating and signing contracts under this new deal. Which the owners not moving on the CBT is a huge thing, where they're trying to keep salaries from growing, growing with how money grows on earth and with how profits grow in baseball. So they're trying to suppress the value of these contracts by not letting that raise. And I think I don't know. And also, it's infuriating that the league didn't have to lock the players out. They chose to do that. And then no negotiations for weeks, because they could just keep negotiating. And if you're telling me that today, we now have to cancel opening day because of today, keep fucking what else do you have to do for your job? Keep working through this night. And if you settle it by tomorrow, okay, opening day's one day later, but that's also not how it's going to work,
Right. If you didn't get an essay in on time for your teacher, it doesn't matter if you tell her that you pulled an all-nighter if you just didn't even look at the assignment until a day before it was due.
Right. You've had all the days. And you chose to do nothing with so much of it. So
now, where do you land? I get the impression that you and probably me as well, like, we are still going to watch baseball whenever there is baseball. Do you, if that is in fact the case, do you feel any guilt associated with that? Like, should we be the people who are like, fuck it, we're not going to watch, or we're not going to renew our MLB TV subscriptions or whatever?
No, because I don't think so, because it's like, ultimately that's mainly hurting yourself, because
it's something that you love.
Yeah, look, if we could go on a general strike as a nation of baseball fans to really inflict damage upon these owners, okay, but I don't think that's actually, that's not going to happen, So I think once it exists, I'm going to consume it. I'm going to try my very best to never give ownership $1, though. And then I think there's people who would say, well, then you don't want to give money to your team. Well, then they won't be able to sign good players. I get the fuck out of here with that nonsense.
I'd love to give Rob Manfred a swirly.
I'd absolutely stuff his dork ass in a locker. Would love to do it. That I'd love to participate in baseball this season by absolutely just swirling Rob Manfred and every owner in this fucking league, because Manfred's awful at his job, obviously. He's terrible. He's bad for baseball. All 30 owners are worse.
I'd love to grab a beer with him so I could throw it in his face.
Yes, exactly. I would love to do things. Yeah, just go full Roadhouse on his ass. But every owner is worse. Like, he works for the owners, Rob Manfred can't make something happen that the owners won't allow to happen. So Manfred's not the problem. He's part of the problem, but he's maybe the 31st biggest problem, let's say, So I think I'm just going to keep consuming baseball whenever it comes back, because I love baseball, and we shouldn't be mean to ourselves in that way, But,
plus, I mean, the Cubs can win 78 games and make the playoffs, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. With the new playoff format, you should be playoff contenders every year for the rest of time. Yeah, I mean, how do you feel? I mean, I assume you feel similarly, like you're not going to hurt yourself,
I do.
Right?
No, I'm not, but I just feel I feel not excited about baseball, and I guess part of that is because I don't know when it's going to happen.
Right.
But I think even if in the next few weeks we find out, okay, opening day is April 15th, I'm gonna need to ramp up as a fan. Do you know what I mean?
Like, right, absolutely. Dude, when you said fantasy draft, I was like, I haven't even considered doing fantasy baseball. I play in several leagues every year and have won a good amount of money throughout my life doing it. We host a baseball podcast. I am not, we're like relatively freaky baseball fans.
Oh, yeah.
I have not thought about baseball. It surprises me when I think like, oh yeah, it's March now. Spring training would have been happening. I'm just like, I'm tuned out. Like I'm tuned out on it. And I'm not like, I was excited to see Marcus Stroman, still am, and I was excited about things like that, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm into soccer, I'm into basketball right now, and I'm putting my leisure time elsewhere.
Right, because like for example, when baseball wasn't happening because of COVID, I missed it so much that I found myself like watching old games and trying to like go back and just watch or consume anything that reminded me of baseball. I can't tell you the last time that I like looked up Cubs highlights or a World Series video or anything like that, because I'm just checked out and frankly turned off by what's playing out right now. Like I think you made a good point earlier, like we would be disappointed no matter what. But the fact that there was this enormous hiatus after the lockout where negotiations really didn't begin in earnest until what, like mid-January?
Yeah.
Oh, and I mean, how like, is that okay?
If even, I mean, then they would do the thing where they would meet for an hour. If they would meet for like 15 minutes and then fucking part for days. Like this has not been a serious process by, so yeah.
And we also like, so we talked, sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
We talked about everything that was missed for baseball players and baseball fans during the pandemic, but we're also still like kind of coming out of a pandemic. People need the help economically, and this affects so many more people than the owners and the players. And I'm not saying that puts them on even footing and like, the millionaires and billionaires are fighting and it affects the guy who's selling hot dogs.
Right.
But there is the guy who's selling hot dogs. And there are also, like, this is a very specific example, but like, think of how much the economies in areas of Florida and Arizona need spring training to happen to make their nut for the year.
Absolutely. They count on it.
And that's not would you book a fucking flight to Arizona right now, not knowing when spring training's gonna be? You'd have to be crazy.
Absolutely not. And so yeah, and even by the time you can, the ticket, you like, people can't plan time. You need to plan to have time off work or plan to buy a plane ticket in advance, so it's not insanely expensive.
Right.
But they just don't give a shit. And they could have been negotiating this whole time. It's not like no one knew this was coming. They've known for years. Like there's no reason why they shouldn't have been getting closer for a long time. But I think
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, just again, and I'm not thrilled with anybody, but I'm pro player anyway. But if you look at what the proposals have been and who has moved at all on any of this, only one side has negotiated. Just look at the numbers. Like one side has moved, the other hasn't. That's it. That's how you know who wants to get back on the field. It's the people who are actually fucking on the field, unless ownership is there sometimes if they're trying to steal some of Chris Bryant's applause when he comes back and, holds onto a plaque or whatever. Please boo Tom Ricketts for the rest of his life. Boo them all, every owner.
So we all knew this was looming. We've known for years that this was when this would need to get done.
Yeah.
But I think I foolishly thought better of baseball than I should have.
Oh, absolutely.
And what I mean by that is like, you remember that feeling that we all and every single Cubs fan who's listening to this had when Rajai Davis hit that home run and you were like, I am such a fucking idiot. You've described this before. Like I really was dumb enough and naive enough to think that they couldn't find a way to hurt me more. And now here they are doing it in the most spectacular way possible. Thank God it worked out. But like,
sure.
I really felt even the greediest of owners can't be stupid enough, knowing how 1994 played out, to let this get to that point. And here we are, and I feel kind of dumb for not assuming it would get here.
Yeah, and I think for not assuming the literal stupidest, literal greediest, literal worst outcome, which is what we have to this point. And things can change. They can change any minute. I don't think they will. And I think I agree with you. I had some skepticism. There was so much listening to reporters talk like a couple months ago saying we're not going to lose games. I did feel like I don't know about that. I did feel like there was a good chance we'd lose games, but I didn't think, as someone who couldn't dislike owners and their class of people more, I didn't think their offers would be this unserious and this bad for baseball. And that's on me. Like you said, I should have.
Well, but you must not have been listening to Rob Manfred, because the deals were incredible. They're
very good.
You've never seen such a deal.
Yeah, it's exactly. So it fucking sucks. I don't know what else to say. You would I feel like you've had a couple of good questions, like just how are you going to feel when it comes back and all this stuff. And honestly, I'm like not even thinking about it. And that's where I'm leaving it for today. I can't read about this shit every day.
No, I was getting exhausted refreshing Twitter over the past few days. And
last night, like, I guess it was Monday night, baseball Twitter was kind of alive again, as updates were happening minute to minute, and it was kind of cool and it was interesting. And I was in the darkness of my bedroom scrolling through and trying to see what the new offers were and what would happen and all that stuff. And that it was a brief few minutes, and now I don't give a fuck. Call me when it's over, and I hope the players don't. I hope the players sit out until there's something serious. That's what I hope. I'd rather not watch baseball for a while than for the players to keep getting shoved down proportional to the owners from here on out. Do the thing that's better for baseball,
I think, I don't know how they'll do it. It annoys me to even think about it, but like, depending on how much time is missed, I don't know if they'll just like start the season from the day they start it and the schedule remains the same or not. But also, like, as people who like going to baseball games and going to different cities, I want to be able to plan some of that stuff. Like, you and I were supposed to go to London in 2020, and obviously that didn't happen. And I was hoping to go to Toronto that year, and the Cubs play there again this year. Like, the Cubs are supposed to play Yankee Stadium in Toronto, and they play, in Cincinnati at a particular time that I was going to go to when I've never been to that stadium. And like, I feel like a baby for complaining about that, but like, fuck it.
No, that's
we've
real.
all not gotten to do things that we wanted to do over the past few years, and it's really frustrating that now that we're allowed to do those things again, baseball is not allowing it on our behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. This should have been, like you say, we are still in a pandemic, but as things are opening up in maybe a more real and sustainable way, this should have been a celebratory baseball season from the beginning, like back to fucking normal-ish, even more so than last year. And they just, they just don't give a fuck. So it's and they don't give a fuck about our trips. And I try to line up stand-up dates with that too.
Yeah.
And
Well, hey, you're going to Memphis soon. Go see John Morant.
I would love to see John Morant. I'll be in Memphis on March 13th at the Lamplighter Lounge. If you happen to be near Memphis, I would absolutely love to see you.
That sounds like a place that Midge Maisel would do a set.
Yes, it does. It sounds very like old timey, loungy. Yeah, literal loungy.
Well, hey, no baseball. Plug your stand-up dates. What do you got coming up?
Sure. Oh man, I got kind of a bunch going on. So if you want to follow me, usually I'll post on Instagram at Kevin McCaff is the best place to find all those stand-up dates. But let me pull up. Here's where I'm going to be. March 5th, Duluth, Minnesota, 2 shows. March 13th, Memphis, Tennessee. March 25th, Decatur, Illinois. March 26th, Fairmount, Illinois. March 27th, Davenport, Iowa. So that's a good chunk of our listeners' range. I'm also going to be at the St. Louis Funny Bone, April 7th through the 10th.
It's going to be boring, but not because of Kevin.
It's going to be boring, baby. I'll make sure it is. Wichita, Kansas, April 14th through the 16th. And that's all we have to do for now. There's Greensboro, Knoxville, Vegas, LA, and Minneapolis later in the year.
Woo-hoo.
About you, what do you want plugged?
Oh, I don't know. I got some stuff in New York coming up. The album's coming along. Got the album in edits right now. My album that I recorded at Zany's. Thanks again to Sarah Sanchez and Tyler, the pastry man, for coming out, among others. Ken Schultz for doing a guest spot. I'll be in Nashville at the end of April, Denver in May. So yeah, got some stuff.
Badass. Well, thanks for listening to this very sad podcast, everybody.
Sorry you didn't get to listen to all of Rob Manfred, but also you're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. I think you heard all you needed there. And as baseball shaves time off of all of our lives and shaves games off their season officially starting today, if you would like to shave yourself in a more productive manner, we would highly recommend going over to Manscaped. Manscaped.com using the promo code away games, and that will take 20% off your final total, which is what the owners want to do to everyone's baseball season minimum. We will promise you 20% off at Manscaped.
Yeah. Don't lock out your nuts.
Thank you, everybody. Go ahead. Were you going to say anything else?
Just that I've prided myself on these Manscaped transitions, and that might have been the best one we've ever done.
Well, if they're not going to play games, we're still going hard. And, so we got to bring it. Thanks for listening, everybody. At Away Games Pod on all the things. Hopefully we catch you with some real baseball someday.